Good evening, everybody, and welcome here to Chase Race number 8, race number 34 of the 2025 edition of the WRA Oreo Cup Series. This is the middle race of the round of 8. Excuse me there. Little belch there. Get ready for tonight's race, the Quaker State 400 presented by Walmart. On the pole position is D Ebrahimian. He is 19th in the points, still looking for his first win on the season. Alongside of last week's winner at the Glen, William R is looking for his second win on the season. His teammate William Ayers is 22nd in points. Dylan Ebrahim, I mentioned 19th in the point standings. Alexander Dawson, who was involved in that big wreck with his teammate Courtney Lynn, dropped 2 spots down to 30th in points. And Jesse Art, who had a mechanical problem, got involved in a wreck, dropped 2 spots down to 27th in the point standings. You would have to go all the way down to 7th place to find our first playoff driver. That would be Josh Harmon. As you look at the rest of the starting lineup. Yeah, I forgot I had it on 36, not 42, so that was my fault. So that's why I'm recording this, but I got it right this time. Here's where things get interesting. Bradley Reed comes into this race 14 points above the cut line. He is the points leader and rookie points leader. Josh Harmon is 3 points above the cut line in second. Daniel Witter 2 points above the cut line in third, and Marinelli DeLeon holds that critical fourth position in the points. 2 points below the cut line is C Bracken. Skylar Taylor is 5 points below the cut line. 14 points below the cut line is K Wascher, and 18 points below the cut line is E Stanbury. So Washer and Stanbury would definitely need a good run, or they could find themselves heading into Daytona next week in a must-win situation. So that's so. Okay. Next week is our final elimination race. We'll be at Daytona for the Coke Zero 400, powered by Coca-Cola. Our final super speedway race on the season. And the one thing I did not mention back at Watkins Glen, I'll mention this now, is that if any of our Elite 8 drivers go to victory lane here tonight or next week's race at Daytona, doesn't matter what happens after Daytona, they're in the final 4 to compete for the championship. So for the 8 drivers that are battling for the championship, they're trying to get into the final 4, but you got another 34 drivers here trying to find victory lane. They don't even care about the playoffs or the championship. They want to go to victory lane as badly as they want to. Tonight at Kentucky. "27 laps of racing. And of course, we're finally back to having cautions now for the final 3 races of the Oreo Cup Series season. As Dylan Ebrahimian led the first lap. Richard Childress Racing has yet to go to victory lane this season, as they're trying to get their first win on the season. Jared Johnson in the 4. There's Cody Smart in the 2. Cody will be back with Penske Racing next season. Jared Johnson's moving over to Front Row Motorsports next season in that number 4, which will be rebranded to the 4 for Front Row next season. So he'll be in the 4, but with Front Row Motorsports. There's Jesse Art. Rumors that Jesse Art CJ Bracken, I know, will be back with Spire next season. There's William Ayers. Not sure what he's doing next season. There's Reggie Fogleman, the 10. Jesse Art is moving over to Colic Racing next season. This number 10 ride that is currently at SHR, they're moving over to Colic Racing to replace the number 31 next season. Although Colic Racing is rumored to have the 31, but as an open team. We'll have to wait and see what happens as far as that is concerned. That's the rumors we're hearing. Ian Griffin, the 47. These are the final 3 races for JTG Daughtery Racing. This team will be renamed as Kayak Motorsports next season. And Kroger, with Cheerios and all that, is moving to RFK Racing next season. We mentioned Sean Art is going to stay at Trackhouse. Chase Brooks will be back at Trackhouse next season. And they'll be teammates with Ingrid Pollard, who will be moving full-time in the 88 machine. Of course, that ride failed to qualify with Liliana Beta behind the wheel. Liliana Beta is moving over to Liliana Beta, I believe, is going to be moving over to I believe they're moving over to Richard Childress Racing, I believe, for Liliana Beta. We'll have to see what about that. More than likely going to be replacing William Davis, who is leaving that team at the end of the year. We don't know where he's going next season. We'll have to see what happens. Dylan Ebrahimian. Not sure what Dylan Ebrahimian's plans are for next season in the Oreo Cup Series. We'll find that out from his team owner, Samad Ozkan. There's Danielle Witter. She will be back with Joe Gibbs Racing next season. She comes into this race third in the points, a total of 2 points above the 4th position, the points cut line. And right now, she is the highest of the playoff drivers. And the next highest is Bradley Ream, the 42 right there you just saw a second ago. Skylar Taylor, I think she is going to be back. I'll have to ask Skylar. She's going to be back with 2311 Racing. Still be teammates with Maddie Crenshaw in the 23. Maddie Crenshaw is coming back to 2311 Racing. We can tell you that is confirmed. It was also announced, as I'm recording this, Junior Motorsports will be attempting the Oreo Cup Series full-time in 2026 in the number 40 machine. Going to have a lot of new teams we're going to have next season, or rebranded teams. And remember, Stewart Haas Racing will be shutting down their operations at the end of this season. So this is, as we like to say, of course, they already had their swan song in the real-life NASCAR tour last year. Now they're going to have their swan song here in the Oreo Cup Series. However, the difference is that Reggie Fogleman's been to victory lane with them, whereas in the real life NASCAR Cup Series, they did not find victory lane last year. There's Bradley Ream running in the 4th position. Bradley Ream, by the way, is your points leader coming in this race. And he has a total of 14 points above the cut line. So looking like Bradley Ream, if he has another good result next week at Daytona, Bradley Ream could lock himself a spot into the Final Four to compete for the championship. But if you're... Apologies about my game freezing up there for a second. I was going to say before that happened, if Daniel Woodard or Bradley Ream wins, doesn't matter what happens at Daytona next week. They're in the Final Four to compete for the championship regardless. And they're the only two up here inside the top. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. The 71 of Marinelli Dillion's up here in the 9th position. And Dillion came as race at critical 4th position in the points cut line. Had an okay run last week at the Glen. So we only have 3 of our playoff contenders up here at the front. Witter, Ream, and, well, now 2. Marinelli Dillion's back in 13th. C Bracken in 12th. K Wascher 27th. Skylar Taylor 23rd. Eric Stanbury in 31st. Josh Harmon in 39th. And we're also being told the 51 is now 1 lap down. That's Kyler Anderson, who was recently eliminated from the playoffs, as he just had an unscheduled pit stop. Not sure what was wrong with the Walmart Ford Mustang Dark Horse out of Rick Ware Racing. That is a tough break for Kyler Anderson. Made the playoffs, got eliminated in the round of 12. And his night's not going to get any easier. Jillian Black, who's raced her way into tonight's race after making it via last night's go home. This is her 2nd start. Jillian Black will still be eligible for the Rookie of the Year honors. Driving for Brett Holmes is number 32 machine. As she now will take the race lead. It's looking good for Bradley Ream right now. Because right now, with where he's situated, and remember, he finished top 5 last week at the Glen. He has another good run here today. He might be in a good, like I said, could be in a good spot to make it in the Final Four to compete for the championship, regardless what happens next week at Daytona. As Sam Davis, who just raced his way in, bullying William Ayres out of the way. Check the back of the field here. Josh Harmon's going to be in a bit of an interesting situation entering next week at Daytona. Josh Harmon came as race 3 points above the cut line. He'll definitely be below the cut line. And it's looking very likely, if Eric Stanbury doesn't start moving forward very soon, I think we can put Eric Stanbury in the conversation of he's going to enter next week's race at Daytona in a must-win situation to get into the Final Four to compete for the championship. There's Bradley Ream running in 2nd. May I also remind you, Bradley Ream has yet to go to victory lane, I should remind everybody. Imagine Bradley Ream doing something that's never happened before on the channel. If he wins the championship without even going to victory lane, believe it or not, which I'm not trying to make that an assumption, but that's the thing we're about to see possibly. The only wrecks that we've had so far here this weekend at Kentucky was go or go home qualifying from last night. Not sure if Bradley Ream's going to get to Jillian Black though. As the white flag is out, one more lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank. Bradley Ream's reeling in Jillian Black. Will he have enough time? That's the question. No matter what for Bradley Ream, he's going to be in a very good position going into Daytona next week. But get out the bra moment, ladies and gentlemen. Jillian Black off of turn number 4. First career Oreo Cup Series win in her second start. She's going to win here tonight at Kentucky, the Quaker State 400, presented by Walmart. And becomes, I think, the 6th or 7th Gorgo Homer to go to victory lane, believe it or not. And she's in next year's All-Star race. Great job for Jillian Black. And we went caution-free. That's even incredible. Bradley Ream so close to his first career win, but with him being in second place, I think we can safely say Bradley Ream, regardless what happens at Daytona, he's in the Final Four to compete for the championship. So he can ill afford a poor finish and still make the Final Four. The only thing he's got to worry about is not DNFing next week at Daytona. Carmen Alejandra third. She's a go-or-go homer. Good run for her. Daniel Witter fourth. That's another driver who came in this race above the cut line. Came in this race third. So she's also looking like she's in a good situation to possibly advance should she have a poor finish next week at Daytona. Zachary Fitzwater fifth. How about Sam Davis? Go-or-go homer in sixth. Good run for him. Jesse Art, bounce back run for her in seventh. Reggie Fogleman, William Ayers, and D Ebrahimian R pole sitter comes away in 10th. So 2 more chances for Richard Childress Racing to go to victory lane here in the Oreo Cup Series. So we documented Bradley Ream had a good run. Daniel Witter had a good run. They were the only 2 inside the top 10 out of the 8. Where did the other 6 remain? Well, you don't have to go far because Marinelli Dillion and C Bracken finished 11th and 12th. Dillion was 4th of the standings in that critical 4th position in the points. We'll see where this is going to situate her. CJ Bracken came into this race 2 points below the cut line. The good news is he finished ahead of a number of people that didn't have good results here. So they were the next 2 on the list. Skylar Taylor, 21st. She came in this race 5 points below the cut line. This could be, oh boy, could Skylar Taylor be heading into Daytona in a must-win situation? K Wascher, Eric Stanbury, I think they could be in must-win situations going into Daytona next week. Looking further on down, Josh Harmon's going to take the biggest hit as he finished in 39th. Ugh, that's not good. And he was the lowest of the playoff drivers, so it's looking very likely to me. Harmon, I believe, will be below the cut line. I don't know about the 23rd, 24th for K Wascher, Eric Stanbury. I think those 2, along with Skylar Taylor, could be going into Daytona next week, possibly in a must-win situation. And it's looking more than likely Bradley Reim and Daniel Witter, if they can get good runs next week at Daytona, they could be definitely in the Final Four to compete for the championship. But I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's race from Kentucky. If you did, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the World Racing Association crew. Today, we showed your full finish results, your points, and playoff standings. They're down in the description. Reminder, keep an eye on the gap above fourth in the standings and below fourth in the standings. And you'll definitely find out if I'm right about the three drivers who are in a must-win situation. Until then, I've been D Whittle signing off. Good night from Kentucky as you've been watching another broadcast of the World Racing Association, the greatest racing since 2013. See you next week at Daytona.